Well, welcome to the Rotary Club of Beaumont, the 72nd club founded in the world, where our members serve to change lives. And if you're on Zoom, we ask you to mute your microphone. And all of you take a minute now to check in on your social media page, whether it be MySpace, Facebook, or Twitter. So you've seen the questions rotating on the screen, haven't you? Have you been answering them? Do you have them right? The Rotary Club of Beaumont is the 72nd club founded in the world. And what year was the club founded? Where was the club's first meeting place? Downtown Beaumont. That's more specific, please. Judges say? Who was the club's first president? I hear J.S. Edwards. Ed J. Emerson is the correct answer. Who is our club's longest serving member still with us today? Yes, yes, yes. Apologies to Mr. Cox and Mr. Wall. I just needed other men named Charles. In what year was a membership of attorney Elmo Willard III and Joe E. Bryant Jr., each Black man, approved for club membership? 1972. Thank you for being here. Thank you for playing. Our invocation led today by Belle Morian. She's public programming director of McFadden Wardhouse Museum. Pledges by Dave McCaughey. He's director, Lamar University Small Business Development Center. And introduction of guests by Cindy Janice, operations manager, Steep Meadow Solutions. Belle?
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm a big nature lover, and so my prayer today is in honor of that. It's called the Autumn Prayer. God of all seasons, we thank you for autumn. We thank you for the touch of coolness in the air that gives us a new burst of energy, for the coloring of the trees that shows the creativity of the divine artist, for the falling leaves that reveal the strength of the branches, for the hues of the fields that bring peace to our souls, for the smiles on pumpkins that bring joy to children, and for the fall harvest that brings us gratitude for the bounty of our land. For this change of season that reveals the circle of life, God of all seasons, as you transform the earth, transform us by your Spirit. Amen.
Well, I'm here to dispel a few rumors. First of all, I'm still alive. Secondly, I've never fried chicken for a living. And there's rumors that once I dated Mrs. Claus, but I never kiss and tell. So if you'll join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and liberty and justice. And to the Texas flag. Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one universe.
Good afternoon. I'm excited to be able to welcome our guests to Rotary today. And for those of you who are visiting today, be sure you find out what Rotary is all about. We'd be happy to have you join our club. We're a whole heck of a lot of fun, and we do good things and have informative speakers every week. So be sure and look into joining our club. We'd be happy to have you. When I call your name, if you would stand with your host who brought you and be recognized. We have Hattie Brown here, guest of Cherie Pierce. Casey Bass is guest of Misty Fountain. Marcus Vasquez is guest of Steve Lucas. Bridget Miller is here with Barb Newhouse. Ken Mason is guest of Joanne Brown. Mark Adams is guest of Alan Higgins. There you go. Welcome to Rotary. Enjoy your time with us.
Thank you, Belle. Yes, a welcome guest. Thank you to Lynn Hill for all the work she did in making arrangements for us to be represented at Martin Elementary. That was their fall festival last Friday, and thank you for all of you who volunteered and helped too. I'm sure the kids had a great time. And a big thanks to Sharon Kirksey and Leonard Junker for hosting us in your home. All of the rah-rahs, Rotary After Hours folks. Thank you for opening up your home to all of those people. And we had a wonderful time. It was an enjoyable evening. Our past president, Floyd McSpadden, has an announcement for End Polio Now. Floyd?
Thank you, fellow Rotarians. We all know it's been quite a year. And during that year, you've helped put in a wonderful installation at Martin Elementary. You've built beds and carried beds for Sleep in Heavenly Peace. And you've helped our neighbors in Louisiana after the devastating hurricane. So it doesn't surprise me that you've stepped up once again to help this year for Polio Plus. And I'm excited to tell you that because of the generosity of all of you, and I'd like to give special recognition to Joe Fisher. Joe says he never met a challenge he didn't like, and so he made sure that we had the 2-for-1 challenge for our Polio Plus campaign. Thank you, Joe, so much for your generosity. With that said, I'm proud to announce that $12,460 will be going to the Rotary Foundation.
Thank you, Floyd. Pat Anderson, I'm looking at you. Here comes Pat. Another trivia question. What is Pat Anderson here to talk to us about?
First of all, you heard about all those different projects that we're doing. Well, guess what? That's got to be funded, right? And how do we fund that? By putting out flags. So it's a week away, November the 11th, on a Thursday, 5 o'clock in the morning. Actually, it's 4:30 to 5. But what I'm saying is you've got a whole week to reschedule anything you have on that day so that you can put out flags. I'm giving you the week. But I've been working the tables with the people here since I've been here. So I've got quite a few people. But if you've never done flags before, and as I stated when I got up here, it's our largest fundraiser. So if you haven't done flags, you don't know what you're missing. You get to meet people on a different level, some good, some bad. But anyway, it's a good time to get up in the morning, get your day, and it's Veterans Day. And you know how important veterans are to this country. We wouldn't be here able to do what we're doing and everything if it wasn't for the people who gave the utmost for our freedom. So if you can, fine if you can do it the next time, but whenever. We do it 6 times a year. And if you'd like to participate, my pad, I'll write you down and put you in, and we appreciate it. And thank you. Thank you for those who've always, if you've ever done flags before, how about stand? If you ever done flags, just give you a break. Look at there. Hey, what I'm talking about. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you, Pat. Yes, you meet with 3 other Rotarians in a truck and a lot of work gets done. So what kind of fun is that? Sherry Pierce wants to talk to us about Wind Down with Rotary. Sherry?
And while we're on the subject of fundraising and our flags, another big fundraiser we do is a Wind Down with Rotary. If you are new or you haven't been here in a while, we have a wonderful wine tasting. There's some food and there's a lot of fellowship and there's music and there's a big raffle and lots of fun. And it's another one of our big fundraisers. It didn't happen in October, but it's going to happen in January, on January the 27th. Mark that down, January 27th. It'll be at the Event Center. We have tickets that you can sell. You can start selling your tickets. And we have little stickers. If you had picked up your tickets back in the summer, we have stickers now with the change of date on them. See Cheryl back in the back. These tickets would make great gifts for Christmas, good stocking stuffers. So buy a bunch of them and give them away and sell them to your friends and buy some yourself because it's going to be a great night. Here's what else we need. There's a big raffle. We need items for raffle. It doesn't matter what it is. D-Lane can put it in a basket and make it something really, really good. But one of the raffle items will be gift cards and scratch off tickets. So pick up a few of those, and it doesn't matter whatever denomination. It doesn't $5, $50, $100. I don't care, whatever you want to bring. And there will also be a wine pool. We need you to bring at least a $20 bottle of wine to donate for this. And I'm thinking about it. Your empty wine bottles, bring those up here. Wash them out first, please, and bring them up here because we're using those for decorations. Wind Down with Rotary. Be sure and put it on your calendar for January the 27th. All right, thank you.
Bring your empty wine bottles to Sherry Pierce. She doesn't care about your denomination. Introduction of our speaker, Deborah Drago. She's a customer service specialist for Entergy. Write that down.
No, really don't. Forget y'all all know me. So it is my honor and my pleasure to introduce our guest speaker today, Ira Wilsker. Many of you are going to be familiar with Ira. He has spoken to our club before. Some of you he may have opened your eyes. Others, he may have added to your fears because he's going to talk about the nuances of computer, electronic communications, and internet security. Ira will complete his 45th year at Lamar Institute of Technology, and that definitely deserves an applause. He is a full-time member of their staff, where he is currently an associate professor of management development. He earned his Associate of Applied Science and Physical Sciences from Montgomery College, a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration, and Master of Business Administration from the University of Maryland College. He also received his online instructor certificate and online developer certificate from LIT's Office of Distance Education. During his tenure, he has received the Teaching Excellence Award 8 times, has been named a distinguished faculty member by the LIT Student Government Association, and was a recipient of the National Institute for Staff and Organizational Development Master Teacher Award. He is also a graduate of Jefferson County, Texas Sheriff's Academy. It was sworn in as a deputy sheriff in 1994. He has also been a certified arbitrator since 1972 and serves on the National Panel of Consumer Arbitrators. This year, he will celebrate 49 years as a volunteer arbitrator. In recognition of his service, he received the John L. Bell Jr. Friend of the BBB Award. He's also held leaderships in various local, regional, and national professional and community service organizations. Here locally, he has been on the board of the Boys Haven of America for 22 years. So it's no wonder he is the recipient of several local volunteer service awards. He is currently serving his second term as a member of the 19th annual Texas Silver-Haired Legislature. And some of you are probably asking, what does that mean? Because I had to say IRA, so what does that really mean? It is a nonpartisan group designed to advocate for the elderly and their specific issues. He represents Jefferson, Hardin, and Orange counties, and Austin on the criminal justice, elections and credentials, and of course, technology committees. So each session, the delegation recommends 50 to 70 resolutions, and of which 16 were passed and signed by the governor in 2019. So you also might remember, just last little tidbit of information, the My Computer Show on KLVI. He was the host for 17 years and also wrote the weekly personal technology section in the Beaumont Examiner for 15 years. I love the most fun, I think, tidbit of Ira is his late wife, Donna, and Ira have 4 daughters. And of course, 2 live here in Texas and the other 2 are spread across the country, and 6 granddaughters. And so I want to welcome Ira.
My wife taught prenatal and perinatal care at the nursing program at Lamar for 41 years. And her joke standing joke, which you ladies would understand, the men of course wouldn't, was I had one wife, 4 daughters, 6 granddaughters, and whenever we got together, I was swimming in estrogen. So I'll go ahead and get started. I want to be a little bit proactive. I'm going to tell you how not to get in trouble online rather than being reactive and saying, uh-oh, you're in trouble. Now, what are you going to do? Let me get out my handy dandy clicker here so I can switch slides, make sure it works. It said it works about half the time. So let's see if it's going to work here. Okay. It went, okay. Here's what I'm going to be talking about today. If you listen to the news, you probably hear about these massive ransomware attacks. Right now, today, as far as monetary loss and troubles for the infrastructure and for businesses and for governments, hospitals are popular targets. Cities, both large and small, are targets, but this effectively shuts down their network until a ransom is paid. What they do is through a variety of means, they get into the network and using a high-level encryption. Most of them are using a Russian military, interesting, 256-bit encryption key, which anything short of the NSA supercomputer, you're not going to easily crack. And that makes it the point where if you do not pay their ransom, almost always in Bitcoin, they will not give you a decryption key. And that makes all of your data, everything on your computers, your hard drives, your servers, inaccessible. And there's a thing that comes out there, the so-called honor among thieves. And somebody says, well, if I pay this, $150,000, $200,000, $1 million, whatever they're asking for in Bitcoin, how do I know that they're going to give me the key? It's a digital key to unlock it. Well, that's where the honor among thieves comes in, because in their own dark web discussion groups, they basically will not dare, if somebody pays the ransom, not giving the key. Because as soon as we hear that somebody paid a ransom and did not get the key that they were promised, that's going to make everybody else that's on the borderline, should I pay the ransom or not? If they did not release the digital key so people could decrypt their data, then other people would be more reluctant to pay the ransom, and that would really hurt their business, which is very lucrative. So it's one of the most pressing issues. I'm not going to read. The worst thing somebody can do, I've learned in my years of teaching, is read a PowerPoint. I mean, this is so-called death by PowerPoint. You can see it up there. This isn't just a domestic issue, it's global. But there are things that we can do to mitigate the damage. Okay. There we go. Some of you might remember this. This is from 5 years ago. The city of Atlanta. I'm not touching it. Okay. The city of Atlanta got hit by ransomware. They wanted varying amounts of money. When Atlanta said, we're not going to pay, they negotiated to a lower amount, but they shut down the court system. They shut down the police. They shut down almost all city agencies and almost all city services. Atlanta, on the side of righteousness, said, we are not going to pay the ransom. And they brought in big name security companies and big name people from the local universities, and nobody could crack their code and recover their data. So they said, we are not going to pay the ransom. All of these ransom requests, I'm going to show you one here, a current one, that if you do not pay by a certain time, you will never get the decryption key. Your stuff will be forever encrypted, which means it's useless to you. Atlanta said, that's okay. We're not going to pay. We'll just recover everything. It turns out that it took a long time. There's still some records that are missing, like court records and filings, and digital evidence is gone. And they said, we're not going to pay. They're going to recover it. They reformatted everything, replaced a lot of hardware. And they spent millions and millions of dollars trying to recover data, which here it is 5 years later, they still haven't done. And for a nominal amount compared to what they spent recovering data and having the courts shut down, law enforcement shut down, virtually every city agency shut down. I hate to say it because I'm not a fan of paying ransom, but it would have been a heck of a lot cheaper if they paid the ransom and been able to be back up in operation in a matter of hours. This is the argument. FBI says, don't ever pay the ransom. But it's your business, excuse me, your business that's being kept from operating, it's costing you money. Talk about the grief and the aggravation and the embarrassment. Here, the next slide you put up here is the FBI definition of ransomware. And it's basically a malicious attack where they encrypt an organization's data and demand payment to restore access. The attackers may also steal your information and demand additional payment for not disclosing it, whether it's to authorities or to the public, incriminating information, law offices, legal organizations, district attorneys have been shut down, and you really want us to release all of your records to the defense attorneys? Those types of things are what come up. So what I put together for you here was a list of guides. Go to the next one on FBI Flash, please. Was a list of guides. Oops. Okay, the screen up here says low battery. This one they have up in front here. This came out on October 25th. This is just the head of it. You've got a little bit coming up on the next couple slides. First of all, notice on the top it says TLP White. Some of my people here that have a law enforcement background may recognize the acronym for TLP White. And what that is that is a government security designation that says this is not classified information, but should not be widely disseminated to the media and others. It's basically on a need to know, but it's not classified. Well, I consider all of you trustworthy, so I'm going to show it to you. But this came out, as you can see, on October 25th. It's got a flash number. And if you go to the next slide, please, it tells about the very abundant recent attack from something called Ranzi Locker. There are many, many different ways of getting onto computer networks and to servers. And the old-fashioned one of just clicking on an attachment in an email, that still can happen, but they've become much more sophisticated to get around all the things we've learned over the years about don't open attachments in email and don't click on things that are suspicious and always have good security software. Now they're getting down into legitimate programs, everything from Microsoft Office programs, not the content, like it was for a while they were using things in Excel, the templates and things, but now they're actually getting into the code of your popular software like Microsoft Word and other things, where merely opening your Microsoft Word or your Excel or your PowerPoint can run the ransomware and encrypt all your data. So this is just how the Ranzi Locker takes over your systems. And it says here that they know of 30 US businesses as of July in the construction subsector, critical manufacturing, academia, government facilities, information technology, and transportation were all shut down. You might remember going back a couple of months ago, a key pipeline coming out was shut down due to ransomware. You've had airlines. We've been hearing the last couple of days, American Airlines canceled, 2,000 flights, whatever it was. But go back even before, just within the last couple of months, you had airlines who were shut down by ransomware. You've had recently, I know, of course, I saw Larry was back there, but we've had a local TV network, or actually a national TV network, shut down by ransomware. And if any of you paid attention on cable or over the air, you notice that one of the network stations to be running locally a whole lot of reruns, but there, for some strange reason, wasn't anything national on the local stations for a while. That's because their entire network had been taken over by ransomware. So the local stations were using strictly local content, things they had in a can, that they could show, but no national feed. So that created things. Microsoft Exchange Server, which is one of the most widely used server utilities, has been compromised. And that is universal around the world. It is extremely widely used. They have found a backdoor into the Microsoft servers and can take it over. If you go to the next slide on technical information, technical details, thank you. But it talks over here about the very top from the previous one. The decryption tool is the key that they send you that you have to pay for. And you'll see ransomware when it's done on personal computers, $300, $500, $600, $1,000 paid in Bitcoin. Some of them for the household user, they're not asking for Bitcoin. They'll tell you in your instructions, go to your local convenience store or Walmart or supermarket and buy a green dot prepaid debit card. Give them the number, and as soon as they collect the balance, then they will send you your decryption key. And in the honor among thieves, with the thousands of people that's happened to, I have not seen a single thing in the security news that nobody got stiffed. They paid their ransom, they got the key, and within an hour or two, they were back up. And that's the philosophical question. Law enforcement says don't ever pay ransom, just encourages them. But how much is it going to hurt you and your business not to pay the ransom? We're not talking about a child's life here. We're talking about digital data. So you've got some information here. They're saying, watch out for new user accounts. They are creating, excuse the language, dummy individuals to register on your network. And good business practice says when you have a new user, you make sure they're an authorized new user. Well, a lot of companies don't do that. So what they do is they establish new accounts on the domain controller, the server, the workstations, the various Active Directories. And the most common name they use, one of their weak points, is Felix. So see a new user with the name of Felix, at least for the first month or two, be very, very suspicious. They did this for a while. Of course, they could pick any name they want, but it turns out Felix was hard-coded into their encryption data. So they'd have to change their program, not very difficult, to use a name other than Felix. And they use at least 3 other names that were known. Go to the next one, example of a ransom note. This is a real ransom note. Okay, there we go. Sorry, the print is small. I blew it up on the next slide as big as I could, just on the next slide. But this is the ransom note if you get this Ramsey locker. This one is floating around widely right now. This is current today. And if you go to the next slide, I blew it up as big as I could make it, the ransom note, and I bracketed some things on there. And it says here, this is, by the way, have you ever seen something called a readme.txt file, a plain, clean text file? Your ransom note comes attached as a readme.txt file that can be opened up in any text or note reader. And it says, attention, your network has been locked. Your computers and servers are locked now. All encrypted files have the extension RANSI. That's where it got the name, the RANSI ransomware. Then how do I restore my files? All files on each host, each server, computer, whatever that's attached to your network, has been encrypted with the strongest encryption algorithms. Again, the one that is most widely used is Russian military. A lot of these, by the way, come from Russia. 256-bit encryption, which are extremely difficult to crack. That's a very much on purpose, difficult to crack. Some of them are actually going to the 1028 and the 2056 bit, which they said even the NSA supercomputers take a while to crack. It's not the kind of thing you or I could easily access. But it says, don't worry, we can help you restore your files. Files can be decrypted with a private key. That key is stored on their servers. You have only one way to get your files back. Contact us to receive the decryption program. Then I bracketed in red here, how to get your files back. You have two ways. Open our website, and they have a Hong Kong address. That's just where the server is. Doesn't mean they're physically located in Hong Kong. And it gives a web address you can open up on any internet browser. I always get suspicious. I have on my computer at home, I do forensic work on, some of you might understand the term, a sandbox. It is some virtual memory. It does not write to the hard drive. And when you close the sandbox, there's nothing left on your computer. Nothing can get out of the sandbox and infect other things on the computer. I mean, it's designed to be digitally isolated. And I'll open up some of these things or go on the dark web in my sandbox and stuff. And let's just say some of these sites kind of bother me a little bit because like a lot of the other dangerous websites, some of them have been known to host other malware to get on your computer, key loggers and all kinds of nasty things that they can put on your computer by going to the website. They put them in JavaScript. They put them in other languages. Sometimes they'll be just in plain HTML, which is the standard code on a web page. Or you can use the Tor browser, T-O-R. Tor browser is readily available. It makes things almost untraceable. You can use it to access the dark web. You hear the term dark web. That's a part of the internet that cannot be accessed by your typical browsers, your Firefox, your Microsoft Edge, your Google Chrome, and the like. But Tor can access that. And while it is on the internet, the way they are isolated, you're not going to go to a search engine, go to Google or any of those and look up stuff on the dark web. But Tor, you can get it off the dark web, and notice it has this torproject.org/download. That's to get the browser. Then it's got this alphanumeric name. I'm not going to read it to you, but A6, A5B, 4, whatever. And that's got, I don't know, 50 characters or something, .onion. And I have no idea where the Onion protocol is hosted, but there it is. And that's on the dark web, and it can only be opened with the Tor browser. And that'll give you the instructions on decrypting your files, but they only, for free, how nice they are, give you the code to decrypt 3 of your files. I know on my computer at home, I got thousands of files. But just to show me that the code will work and that they're really good people, they'll give me a key and tell me which 3 of my files I can decrypt. And they also warn you, this is standard on every ransom note. Do not get a third-party company. Coming here, listening on the business channel on my XM radio, was an ad on the business channel for a company, big name, reputable security company. If you got ransomware, call us. We'll help you get through it. Problem is, a lot of these, this ransomware has a minefield in it. And if you attempt to remove the ransomware, it totally deletes and overwrites your files. So even if you have the key, they're effectively gone. It says you'll lose all your files. Go to the next slide, please. And this is what you can do to mitigate. This is all off that FBI flash that came out a week and a half ago. So again, I like giving you relatively current things. Talks about backing up. Those of you that listen to my radio show on KLVI, which I did for 17 years, I always said the 3 most important words in computing are backup, backup, and backup. The problem is this ransomware, and a lot of the other ones too, go through your network, through your server, find your backup copies or your backup drive or backup server, and overwrite and delete. They delete and then overwrite everything that's on your backups. So you can't just go to your backup and restore it. I have at home, which it mentions is here, what's called an air gap. I have, crazy me, those people that know me a long time know I'm crazy, right? Right, Sherry and others. But I have 2 external USB hard drives. I only have one connected to my computer at any time. The other one is not connected, and I periodically rotate through them. And I have a security utility that runs and makes sure there's nothing on my computer when I plug the new one in. So I'm not going to put anything bad. So if I were to get ransomware or something bad were to happen, I at least have a current backup. I never have both connected to the computer at the same time. That's what they call an air gap. Something to isolate. But here, you and your businesses, you and your homes, I'm not going to read them here, but here are the steps you could do to mitigate your chance of being attacked. Go to the next one about stop ransomware, please. There we go. This is a relatively new federal service. I put the website, the web address, the URL on the top so you can read it. Stopransomware.gov. This is new. And they have 3 sections on there. What is ransomware? Have you been hit? What to do if you're hit? And then the third one is avoid being hit. Okay, next slide on ransomware 101. Thank you. These are sections out of this stopransomware.gov website. Again, this is all new. And this just defines ransomware. I don't have to read it to you, but it talks about the ever evolving. If we go back and look at the ransomware that came out 3 years ago, and by today's standards, it's childish. It's the game. We come up with a way to detect it, kill it, and decrypt it. They come up with a way to get around it. We come up with a way to keep it off our computers. They find another way to get on. And a lot of the old classical methods of protecting your computer, you all think about, you'll have a good security software and a good firewall. Doesn't matter to these ransomware authors. They go right through it. Okay. Next slide is, what if you've been hit by ransomware? Here is a checklist. You've got the links on there. I gave you the address down here on the bottom, cisa.gov. By the way, at the end, I'm going to give you both my email addresses. If any of you would like a copy of this PowerPoint with all of the links and all the mitigation and other things, the last slide is going to have my email address. Email me and I'll send you a copy of this PowerPoint, if that's reasonable. Because you see, I gave you big letters, all the addresses there. If you were to get hit by ransomware, this gives you the checklist on how to respond, to find out how badly you've been damaged and what you can do to try and cover it. It says detection, containment, and eradication. And it mentions down here on the bottom of this response checklist, make sure you do these things in order. Okay, next slide. U.S. Secret Service has been extremely active in cybercrime, cyber terrorism, and cybersecurity. And it's secretservice.gov, and I give it to you on top in red, /investigation/preparing for a cyber incident. They have an enormous library of free resources you can download, and they're kept pretty well up to date. And whatever kind of major cybersecurity threat you may be facing in your home, at your job, and your institution, this gives you the basic steps in protecting it. And I bracketed it in red on the bottom of the page. It says basically that they target organizations across all industries and sectors. Worldwide money lost to cybercrime is measured in the hundreds of billions. One investigation in 2018, one investigation of what they call actors, accounted in $1.9 billion in actual financial losses. That was one ransomware group in 2018. And by the way, there are hundreds of these groups. And $6.8 billion of potential losses were averted when qualified law enforcement people stepped in. And Secret Service here is telling you they have extensive experience in dealing with these things. So Secret Service is one of the several federal agencies that you can contact. The next several slides are some of the guides that are available for free download. Each of these links opens up another page that has multiple items on there. It's not just one little PDF file, there's usually several on there. But that first one is just the introductory guide. And once again, I gave you in red right there the web address, the URL for the Secret Service. And this basically just tells you the steps you need to take to understand the technology and the threat. It's like anything else in the military, know your enemy. And that's basically what this introductory guide is. The next one for download is a guide to ransomware. It defines it, it describes it, and it tells you initially what actions you should take to prevent and respond to the attack. Next slide, please. To contact law enforcement tells you what organizations, federal, state, and local, can help you with your ransomware attack. Talks about what the Secret Service can do if you've been the victim of a cyber incident. Below that is reporting cyber incidents to the federal government. Tells you your role and your responsibility and the federal responsibilities to assist you during a cyber incident, and what and how to report and to which federal agencies. Next slide on the guide to e-skimming. Some of you, when you hear about skimming, may think about the common local threat you see at some of the gas stations and ATM machines. Ever heard of credit card skimming? Amazingly common. I know at the Valero station near my house, middle of the summer, I saw in the local news that there was a white panel van parked in the corner of the gas station, and they had a wireless connection, and they had an excellent quality duplicate faceplate, and they put it on the pumps, where you pay at the pump. And when you swiped your credit card or used your debit card, had a little tiny camera. If you had to enter a PIN number, it captured your PIN number, but it read the magnetic stripe and now the chip on your card. And these people would get 100, 150 credit cards in a day, and they'd either use it themselves or they would sell it on the dark web. Credit card information is very popular to sell on the dark web. Don't you remember about 8 or 10 years ago, the one at Target, where nationwide, worldwide, they had 110 million credit cards stolen? Anybody remember that? Okay, it cost Target, between paying the banks to replace the credit cards and losses and stuff, cost Target several $100 million in damages. But that's not the kind of skimming we're talking about. We're talking about e-skimming, which is how the cyber crooks get into your system. I mean, I'm going to plead guilty. I like to support local businesses the best I can, but I'll admit I buy stuff on Amazon. I buy stuff on eBay. I buy stuff on Overstock. I even have been known on Kroger or H-E-B to place my order online and pick it up at curbside pickup. Well, this is where e-skimming comes in. This describes what you and your organization can do to protect the credit card information that your customers are giving you. This e-skimming are little bits of code loaded onto the servers of Amazon, eBay, H-E-B, Kroger, Walmart.com, whomever. And what that is a step above what happened to Target a couple of years ago. When you use your credit card, even though you see it's secured as the HTTPS, which means it's secure socket layered, you might even be using a virtual private network to protect your data, all of which are good things to do. It doesn't matter because it gets the information after it's been decrypted. And so it turns out you have a lot of people that have their credit card information or debit card information stolen. They'll swear on a stack of Bibles, I did everything right. Well, they did do everything right. And the web hosts, eBay, Amazon, whatever, they have very good security, but that's the cat and mouse game. They implement good security, and these cyber crooks find a way around it. So we'll get to that next slide in a second. The bottom half of this one is a guide to business email compromises. Describes what actions and organizations should be taken to prevent and respond to a business email compromise. Ken Mason over here might remember a coworker in common was going overseas to attend a terrorism workshop, used his credit card on a school computer to book his hotel room in Israel. And the next thing he knew, he was paying for somebody's tuition. He bought tickets to a concert in the Woodlands and all kinds of other things like that. Well, there was some e-skimming going on. We won't get into the details. You know who I'm talking about. And I mean, credit card companies are pretty good on making good on that. But he had to get his credit cards, of course, reissued. And it's a pain in the neck, but it happens. To the individual, your legal liability if you use a credit card is limited to $50 unless you were grossly negligent. But even there, most of your credit card companies even say no liability as part of their sales pitch. But it still is aggravating. And the businesses or the credit card companies have to eat that loss. Some of you know, because I've seen some things that people posted on Facebook in response to me being here. They know my kids. And one of my daughters who teaches college taught a summer 3 years ago before COVID in Erasmus, Belgium. And she was real careful with her credit cards. A month after she came home, she taught there all summer, she bought 2 first-class round-trip tickets from Barcelona, Spain to Sao Paulo, Brazil. And when she got her credit card statement with a $6,000 charge from an airline, let's just say she was not a happy camper. And credit card company, took it off. In the meantime, this couple, whomever they were, had already gone and come back. I know I'm out of time here. But so you need to do that. We're just about done here. Here is e-skimming. What is it? How does it work? And who is at risk? All these are downloadable on the site. How to protect yourself from e-skimming, of everything from your secure passwords to your remote access, having backups and things. The next slide is anatomy of a business email compromise. How do these businesses take advantage of you? Amazingly common. All of these guides are complete, readable, non-technical guides to download for free. And again, these are from the Secret Service. Finally, we have the CSRC. This is a recent draft of a publication. It's very technical, but you might want to give that to your IT people in order to harden your network from virtually all types of cybercrime. If you'd like a copy of this, if you email me either at my personal email on Gmail, you can write this down, or take a picture like Joanne is doing, or my school email, and I will send you a copy of this PowerPoint with all the links and stuff on it. I know my time is up. I don't want to have, we were talking earlier about taking the tomatoes off your salad and throwing them at me. So I'll relinquish to see if anybody has any quick questions. Oh, come on now. I've never heard Joanne being so quiet. Ooh. Yeah. iCloud, you have the Amazon Web Services, you have the Google Drive. In themselves, they are relatively secure. That does not mean they've never been attacked. Amazon Web Services is a common target because it's the largest. And while they themselves are relatively secure, that does not mean your data is secure. Because somewhere there's going to be a weak point. Like I said, Amazon Web Services, a couple of months ago, there were a large number of e-commerce sites that use Amazon Web Services that were shut down because Amazon Web Services got hit by ransomware. So iCloud, Google Drive, all those things, as good as they are right now, they're also all vulnerable. Not as vulnerable as your home computer, but they are vulnerable. But it is a good backup source. That's why you need these redundant backups. Anybody else? Yeah. Bitcoin is the most widely used cryptocurrency for these high dollar transactions, because once it is paid and goes bouncing around the international network, it becomes untraceable. You did have a recent, the one with the pipeline a month or so ago, the FBI and Secret Service were able to recover some of the Bitcoin payment. But that's one of the issues with your cryptocurrency is realize they're virtual. They don't exist. People say, well, gee, I have my paycheck direct deposited. That's digital. But at least it represents something. Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the other ones don't represent anything. And if any of you heard in the last couple of days, the scandal in India with their local cryptocurrency that was a fraction of a cent and then jumped up to $6,000 or $6,800 per coin, they had people that invested $1,000 and as of last week had over $1 billion. And then overnight it dropped back to zero. But turned out to be, worthless. And that's one of the fears about many of your digital currencies. As you see more governments cracking down on them, you see tax agencies around the world cracking down on them. The fact that they're very difficult to trace, that China is coming up with their own digital currency and is probably going to ban Bitcoin and the other ones. So you're going to find a degree of volatility because they trade on pure supply and demand speculation. It's not like we have something somewhat tangible, like stocks, although stock itself isn't intangible, but something behind it that we can see. Okay, I'm up. He just threatened to hit me in the back of the head. Again, you've got my email address. If you email me, I'll send you a copy of this. And I appreciate your invitation to be here.
Thank you, Ira. I really wish we would have had more time. Jackie was giving me this signed, though. Blame her, would you? But in an expression of our appreciation for you being our guest speaker today, the Rotary Club is contributing to the Rotary Foundation, our In Polio Now campaign in your name. Thank you, Ira, for being here. It was a wonderful presentation. Yeah, and next week, in a special salute to our veterans, our speaker will be Lieutenant Commander Ethan Llewellyn. He's the Chief of Inspections Division of the United States Coast Guard. So all current and former military Rotarians are invited to come dressed in your uniform, if it still fits, Leonard Junker. All right. Thank you to our guests for coming today. Marcus, it's good to see you again. Steve, get that man a membership, would you? And thank you to all the Rotarians who brought your guests. Thank you, Belle, Dave, Cindy, and Deborah for representing us at the head table. I'm glad that you're here. Could we have a family conversation? So in spite of what Ted Moore says about me as being a chubby man, I'm relatively healthy, although several years ago, a CTA revealed an aneurysm on my ascending artery. They said that it needs to be looked at. So we measure it about every year. And they tell me that I should have some surgery done soon. They tell me I should have surgery done before the end of the year. It's not convenient for me, though. They said I should schedule maybe 4 to 6 weeks away to have this done. So this is something that I revealed to our leadership group in the club several months ago, that at some point, very soon, I would have to have a medical leave of absence to take care of this, because it has become an urgent matter. So beginning on November 11th, as you're putting out flags, remember me while the surgeon is taking action to relieve me of the aneurysm. And well, it'll be a surgery. It's not the first open chest surgery that I've had. About 25 years ago, I had mechanical valve replacing, had a mechanical valve replacement. It's because of that, they've been looking at the mechanical valve every year to determine how it's functioning, and it is functioning well. Had they not been looking at the mechanical valve every year, they would not have detected the aneurysm. So I'm grateful for that because a lot of people learn, or their families learn after the fact, is the truth of the matter. But your Rotary leadership has been thinking about this for a while. So what shall we do? Jackie, next slide, please. Ileana, would you come? So one of the duties of the vice president is to serve in place of the president at the time the president cannot be in attendance and presiding. So Ileana will be taking my place at the podium for a month or so. Ileana?
So with that said, Rotarians, remember our theme of the year. Everyone must bring one. Those who recruit a new member to the club become a member in the President's Club and will be entitled to all the privileges that brings. And with that, and keeping Brad in your thoughts and prayers, please stand with me and say the four-way test of the things we think, say, and do. First, second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? Have a great week and serve to change lives.